Hello and welcome from the OPC Foundation. This presentation is to give you an overview on the industrial interoperability for the machinery industry based on OPC UA, which is not a protocol, but instead it's a collection of technology bricks. And this is what I'm talking in more detail. First of all, you have to understand, as mentioned, OPC UA is not a protocol. Instead, it is a set of technologies allowing to exchange and define and exchange data from sensor up into cloud through all the layers in the automation pyramid, but also exchanging horizontally, obviously. You see here that OPC UA-based informations can be transported in different areas. So it's an enabler for consistent information model being exchanged from sensor to cloud. This is the main message here. The promise for this interoperability is based on a collection of technology bricks. So the combination of, on the one hand, OPC UA, but on the other hand, so-called companion specifications is exactly the key for the promise for interoperability. So think about OPC UA as a collection as Lego bricks, and all of the bricks have specific capabilities for onboarding, for discovery of devices and machines, for connectivity, different protocols, OPC UA over TCP, over MQTT, and so on, but also including end-to-end security functionalities and being able to describe services and describe the capability of machines. This is a set of bricks we are offering inside OPC UA. And then others, like partners, like the VDMA, is using these bricks and adding the description of machines or things together with the description and dedicated selected bricks for technology. This is guaranteeing 100% industrial interoperability. Some of the bricks are mandatory. That's why we guarantee interoperability. Some are optional. This is what I'm talking about. Very short explanation. The OPC Foundation right now is still growing. We have more than 790 members worldwide. It's the world's largest ecosystem for industrial interoperability with a mix of companies from the OT and IT world. And we are exactly providing the promise of moving data and information in a complete, secure, and reliable way, completely independent from any vendor, any platform, operating system, language, independent from the market, from sensor to cloud and back. Everything what the OPC Foundation is delivering is open. Specifications, once they are released, are open. Sample code is open. If you buy a toolkit to enable your device, your machine with OPC UA, you can go to the OPC lab, pay your daily fee, but you don't have to be a paying member of the OPC Foundation. Overall, OPC UA is based on 3 pillars for interoperability and the robustness. Second, the information modeling, but third, also about the validation, certification, and everything is online available. And I will cover this a little bit here in this talk. So number one, I talked already about the interoperability, about the collection of bricks. Here, I want to give you the information that OPC UA is not a protocol itself. Instead, it's really that you start defining information. What is your machine, your service exposing? What are the complex data? What are live data? What are historical data? What are alarms and so on? Below, we have different communication models for client server, for PubSub, and below we have the real protocol bindings where you can move the defined data set on different protocols like TCP, UDP, HTTP, MQTT, and so on. In future, we are extending it with Ethernet APL and TSN also. And this is exactly what the foundation is delivering, and other partners are putting their companion specifications on top. Security is very important and built in by design. It is not only transport security, it is also an application and user security. So who is allowed to access and see what kind of information? So we didn't define authentication and signaturing and encryption. We are using IT standards from the market, but we put in everything into OPC UA by design. Has been reviewed and been found as secure, but saying that it is secure or offering security also means users have to enable the security and make it mandatory. OPC UA is known in all of the initiatives around the world. It is a national standard in China and in Korea, and it is also mandatory required by the criteria to name your product Industry 4.0 Basic. So if you want to check that list, you will see OPC UA is listed mandatory here. This has been published in 2017 already. Looking to the second pillar, I believe that not protocols are the key for the future, because there is not one single protocol fulfilling all requirements. Today you have field bus systems for deterministic, you have more popular MQTT for the cloud, but none of them are really scaling completely. And that's why OPC UA has started to move data via different channels from left to right and up and down. The key itself is really describing the data modeling. And this is where we have dedicated rules, how to define a new group, what are the criteria, and you find everything public described in the web. Status today, we have more than 55 groups, and you see dedicated results, who is the contact person, what is their status on the web. So before you start your own activity, please have a look here if there is already a base. We are partnering with a lot of initiatives around the world in different markets, and definitely there's not enough time here right now to talk about all of them. And so today, I just like to highlight the specific efforts from the VDMA being definitely one of the key partners here, because internally they have so many initiatives. To my knowledge, it must be about 29 or plus, where they have joined working groups together with the OPC Foundation. Everything is public and transparent and following compliance rules. Everybody who is a member of the VDMA or OPC Foundation can participate. So really huge progress. To give you the idea, what is an OPC companion spec also out of VDMA, for example, the AIM group started early. It's about auto ID devices from different vendors, even with different signal types, but the complete group agreed on having one dedicated information model, being able to talk to all of these devices. So if you want to integrate from an IT point of view and talk to one of these devices, you have to implement a couple of OPC UA-based API calls, and then you can access not only that one device from the one company, but also from all the other companies. This is really perfect to understand that this is reducing your engineering efforts, because you see a huge ecosystem and you are not locked into a specific ecosystem from a specific vendor. Instead, it's open and international based on IEC standards. And this is also what the VDMA, for example, did as one example from robots. Even the injection molding group started earlier, but everybody knows a robot and has seen a robot, so it's easier to understand. They started early, and just 2 years later, they had a demo running where 9 companies here implemented the OPC UA robotic information model inside. It has even been synchronized with efforts in China, and everything was easy to integrate into the IT world. Here you see the Microsoft Azure dashboard. They can, in parallel, work and design the dashboard because they know the information model. And so you can start in parallel in your IT world implementing your system, and then later on just connect the devices. So this is really providing an end-to-end bidirectional communication from the dashboard down to devices, up and down. I'm the proud chairman here of the joint working group between OPC Foundation and PLC Open, which was back on my recommendation in 2006. At that time, there was just one PLC. Today, you see a lot of PLCs, nearly from all big brands around the world. All serious companies have it integrated into their devices. And you see even some of them have it integrated into an OPC UA client into the PLC, so that the PLC can initiate a communication to the cloud or even horizontal to other PLCs. OPC UA is growing also to other devices and markets, for example, industrial kitchen devices. This is nothing for your home environment. These are really industrial kitchen equipment vendors, and you see coffee machine and frying pans here from vendors, and really nice information also here on podcast available. We talked about industrial interoperability. We talked about the use and the benefits of having standardized information But obviously nothing is, if you can't trust it and if you can't validate it, you need the proof that something is really fulfilling the specification. So the OPC Foundation has a complete validation and certification program. We are providing a so-called compliance test tool, the CDT, which has more than 1,800 test scripts today. These are testing not only the OPC core specific functionality, by the way, for both, for the UA server and the UA client, but they are also testing specific companion specifications. Today, there are just 3 of them, and right now, behind the curtain, we are working hot with other companion spec partners to integrate more and more companion specifications. You will see weighing and IO link and much more coming up in near future. So this is definitely one of the keys. For members, this is free of charge. For non-members in the OPC Foundation, you can buy it for really small money to check if your vendor is delivering quality or not. So really highly recommendation to make use of that. Second, sure, we certified products. Here you see OPC UA product is certified together with the companion spec MDIS from the oil and gas industry. And again, as mentioned before, we are extending this. In future, you will also see we are certifying for other topics in the upcoming in the future. I was talking about the set of bricks, technology bricks, and this is also public here. So inside the companion specs, you will see specific UA core profiles, full feature profiles. So if you order a PLC, if you order an auto ID device, it is not enough to just say, hey, OPC UA server should be inside. You really have to name the technology brick which you want to have. So you really have to say, I want to have an auto ID device and it has to support the auto ID companion spec, because then inside the auto ID companion spec, it is described that this companion spec needs the standard 2017 UA server profile, which then has all the technology bricks inside defined. So this is really important to understand. Just ordering UA server or UA client functionality is not enough. You have to name the long list of bricks or the collection of bricks, which are exactly in the collection of a companion spec. Companion spec exactly has 2 flavors. One document is human readable. It's a PDF document. The other document is machine readable. It's called node set file, and new modern PLCs with good OPC UA enabled servers are able to load this node set file. So within just a few minutes, your PLC can load multiple node set files, multiple companion specs, and then you have to map it internally where to find the information in the PLC. But to the outside world, it is the standardized offering for that companion spec. Obviously, the OPC Foundation, the O stands for openness. All companion spec, all OPC specs are available online, but also searchable in an online dictionary. So here, OPC UA, the specification, and all joint working groups are published once they are released. We want to avoid double standardization. There is already a specification for a pump, and you shouldn't start from scratch. Looking to the future shortly, and this is easy because everything is public in the web. Go to the web and you find the full list of functionalities and features where we are looking on. Yes, we have 5G on our radar. We implemented cloud relays and metadata in the cloud and so on. I want to talk here a little bit more about harmonization and the field level communication group. Harmonization, first of all, is that we try to harmonize all of these groups because all of them have a companion spec, but all of them need an MES interface, all of them need a power management interface, all of them need firmware update, and the list goes on. Overall efficiency data, obviously, and so on. And it doesn't make any sense that all of the groups do it in a different way. All groups, all chairmen of the group are working together in a so-called OPC Foundation harmonization group, and in parallel in a VDMA UA for machinery group. And these 2 groups are closely related to each other. So we want to find out what is the base class which is part of all of the machines to avoid double standardization. Second, I want to talk a little bit about the field level communication initiative, which has been started in 2018. And this standardization group has the aim to extend OPC UA So it's not a different OPC UA, it's just extending the capabilities and features to even go down into the field level area. And that's why this field level communication initiative is addressing both the process industry and the factory industry to achieve a harmonized way and extend all features which are missing, explicitly including also optional deterministic, safety, and motion where it's required. This group has 27 international companies supporting it with extra contribution, financial, but also with a huge manpower. I'm really looking forward that after 2 years where we started the initiative, now in December 1st, we have the first public webinar with a long, big conference where the group is describing the functionalities, the features, and the status. I ask you to subscribe to the OPC Foundation newsletter, stay in contact, and you also get the new upcoming 40-page brochure on the field level communication initiative. Where to get more information? We have newsletters, as mentioned. Please subscribe to the newsletter, get more familiar with the brochure. All the recordings from the OPC Day, where we had more than 3,000 attendees, is online, free of charge available. You don't have to be a member of the foundation. And of course, you should subscribe to our podcast, where we have every 2 weeks a really new and interesting podcast from around the world and different experts. My call for action here is, hopefully you got a basic understanding on that OPC UA plus the companion specs really promise and fulfilling the promise of 100% interoperability. Everything is described in a companion spec, including the communication ports, all protocols which are required. Is OPC UA over MQTT part of it or not? Is PubSub part of it or not? Everything is described in a companion spec. So become, on the one hand, more familiar with the collection of technology bricks on OPC UA, and second, have a look, is there a companion spec available on the market or not? Otherwise, get in contact with the VDMA or the OPC Foundation. That was overall my presentation. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you have questions, obviously contact me directly. It will be a pleasure for me to stay in contact with you. Thank you for listening. Have a good day. Stay healthy. Thanks. Bye-bye.